We would travel around by bus. We would sleep in cheap hotels, sharing rooms with 3 or 4 people. We would speak to audiences of 5 or 6. Sometimes we would have more people at a table than in the audience. But things started evolving from there. And still today, when we have a far more developed situation in the liberty movement in Brazil, we still meet those people. Sometimes I'm somewhere in the middle of Brazil and somebody will come to me and say, hey, do you remember when you came to this city in 2006? I said, yeah. Do you remember there were like only 5 people in the audience? I said, oh yeah, I do remember that. I said, yeah, I was one of them. And now I'm here with my nephew, and my nephew is very much interested, and I brought him.
Policy makers.
Well, the liberty movement in Brazil has grown fastly and steadily for the past 15 years, I would say. We have a fairly long liberal tradition going back to the abolition of slavery in the late 19th century. Going forward in the late 20th century, we started with a few institutes around the country, majorly in big cities. But I would say in the early 2000s, a new generation, a generation of people who are now my age, mid to late 30s, started working on these ideas, mostly because social media made it easier for us to get in touch with other people who thought like us, and because through the internet, we got access to content. When I go to an event now, and I see the younger people, and I see the audience, and I look at them, and I know 5 or 6 of them, and the other people are all new to me. I don't know them. It's just a great feeling. It's like, okay, there is something happening. And also, an important thing, we have more women, we have more people who are not white, we have people who come from other regions. They are not Porto Alegre, they're not Rio, they're not Sao Paulo, they're not coming from the big cities. And that makes our movement a lot stronger, but also closer to the normal average Brazilian guy. The country is already relatively fractured. I have a few friends from Venezuela, and I remember talking to them maybe 10 years ago, and they would say, well, the climate in the country is so difficult, so bad, so politicized, that we know what are the political inclinations of everybody we know, because we talk so much about politics. And that's where we are in Brazil now. It has become part of our identity, like pretty much like our football teams, right? You go to your place of work, you go to your office, you know what team everybody supports because it's part of our identity. And now politics has become that too. And you can imagine how hard it is to live in a situation where politics is so much on your sleeve, that it's so important to you, that an election feels like, the D-Day in a war. That worries me, the increasing politicization of social life. Even though I'm a political scientist, I love politics. Since I was a child, I love politics. And I'm afraid that the accusations and the divisions, it has far outpaced the normal levels of divisions of disagreement. It has become a moral divide. You either with me, or you're corrupt, or you're fascist. And that's something that I perceive as a big threat to liberty in Brazil. Because, freedom of expression is something that I care a lot about, that liberals care a lot about. I think it hinders not only our freedom of expression, but also our liberty to associate with people who can help us with some topics. And for us, we believe that politics is about talking to people who agree with us on some topic, who disagree with us on other topics, finding ways to collaborate, and then moving forward. That's how things get better, talking and finding common ground and moving forward. And I'm afraid that the politicization of society, the division between these two fields, the left and the right, as like a mortal division, death and life, that will probably present problems for us going forward. It will become increasingly harder to work with the left and the right because they see each other as mortal enemies. And that's being translated to the society in general, not only politics and politicians, but also within families. You have families being split, family people who, I don't know, the aunt doesn't speak to the guy, and the guy doesn't speak to the grandmother, and the youth don't speak to the older people cannot stand the young people anymore. I think it's positive that more Brazilians are interested in politics. I think because we are not used to paying attention to politics. We are not a particularly well-educated society. On average, a Brazilian person would stay in school for 5 or 6 years only. We still don't understand the political history of the country. We don't really understand the ideas behind politics. But now people are kind of listening. They're interested. They're looking forward to the election. They're following pages on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on Instagram. And I think that maybe in a few years, these people will be better qualified to discuss politics in a more rational, civilized way.
Policymakers, segunda temporada.